In the cavernous spaces of human experience, sometimes we stumble upon a feeling that seems to defy the contours of logic. We've all felt it, when there's no companion to sit next to during lunch, when we've just landed in a brand new city and feel like an alien amidst a crowd, or when weekends roll around and no one has time for us. This isn't a new phenomenon. But what's alarming is the spike in its intensity in our era. Despite living in the most connected age in human history, many of us are ensnared in the iron grip of loneliness. In the UK, a staggering 60% of individuals aged between 18 and 34 confess to feeling lonely quite often. Across the Atlantic in the US, 46% of the population experience this emotional drought on a regular basis. Paradoxically, in a world where communication is instant and friendships are a click away, an ever-growing number of us feel stranded on an island of isolation. Loneliness is an intricate emotion that often doesn't adhere to outward circumstances. It's essential to understand that being lonely is not necessarily a product of being alone. There are moments when solitude can bring profound contentment and peace, allowing us to reflect and connect with our innermost thoughts. Conversely, even when surrounded by laughter, friends, and festivities, a person can feel an overwhelming sense of isolation as if they're an outsider looking in. Loneliness is not a one-size-fits-all emotion. It's deeply personal and varies from one individual to another. It doesn't judge or discriminate. If you feel it, then that's your truth. Recognizing and accepting these feelings without judgment is the first step towards healing. Always remember, you're not alone in feeling lonely. Embrace compassion for yourself and others, acknowledging that everyone's journey with loneliness is unique. There's a prevalent stereotype that loneliness is a trait of the socially awkward or the introverted. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Large-scale studies have revealed that having or not having social skills makes negligible difference to one's susceptibility to loneliness. Loneliness isn't discerning, it doesn't discriminate. You could be powerful, wealthy, renowned, and yet loneliness could still be your unsolicited companion. Why? Because it's hardwired into our biology. The age of technology further amplified this trend. We now relocate more than ever, driven by jobs or education, often leaving behind our support systems. Over time, without realizing, we trade real, tangible interactions for digital ones. As a consequence, our emotional reservoirs start running dry. Loneliness, much like hunger, is deeply ingrained in our system, but while we have numerous diets and nutrition plans for hunger, our strategies to combat loneliness are still evolving. This alarm system, signaling the need for social bonds, can be traced back to prehistoric times when social coherence was the key to survival. Yet, as we've progressed, we've inadvertently built barriers that sometimes make these connections more challenging. Being a part of a tribe was not merely about social interaction, it was a symbiotic relationship where every individual had a role, a purpose. These societies thrived on mutual trust, collective effort, and shared knowledge. An individual's worth wasn't judged merely by their strength, but by their ability to contribute to the tribe's well-being. The act of exclusion, therefore, wasn't just a social embarrassment. It was a statement that the individual no longer fit into this collective ecosystem. But in our march towards progress, with cities bustling with anonymity and technology promising a connected world, we somehow began drifting apart in reality. The paradox of our times is that in an era of global connectivity, personal connections often suffer. Our urban lifestyles prioritize individual accomplishments over communal endeavors. With digital interactions taking precedence, the depth and quality of our connections diminish, giving rise to a more superficial understanding of relationships. In essence, while our ancestors' loneliness was a result of physical exclusion from their tribe, ours is often a result of emotional distance even when surrounded by a crowd. The challenge today is not just recognizing this alarm our body sets off, but understanding its roots and devising modern solutions to an age-old problem. It's imperative to remember that while we've evolved in many ways, our innate need for genuine human connection remains unchanged. Now, while our societies have evolved at a blistering pace biologically, we're still the same humans from 50,000 years ago. We're engineered for connection. The distress from chronic loneliness is alarmingly detrimental. It speeds up aging, reduces immunity, and even magnifies the severity of diseases like Alzheimer's. It's a silent epidemic as lethal as obesity or chain smoking. The most sinister aspect of chronic loneliness is its self-sustaining nature. Loneliness triggers a defense mechanism in the brain, making one perceive the world as hostile. This in turn leads to withdrawal and even further isolation. It's a vicious, tightening spiral. Acknowledging the patterns that lead us into the grasp of loneliness is paramount to breaking free from its hold. At the core of our existence, we humans yearn for connection. It is an essential thread that weaves through the tapestry of our shared humanity. Jean-Jacques Rousseau once said, "We are born weak, we need strength. Helpless, we need aid. Foolish, we need reason. All that we lack at birth, all that we need when we come to man's estate, is the gift of education." Just as we learn and adapt to the world around us, we must also educate ourselves about our internal landscapes. It's crucial to remember that feelings, even those as profound as loneliness, are transient. They come and go, sweeping through our lives like passing storms. Moreover, these feelings are universal, an intrinsic part of the human experience that binds us all. No one is truly alone in their feelings of loneliness. Thus, by recognizing the patterns that fuel this emotion and making a conscious effort to transform them, we can begin to steer our lives towards deeper connections and more meaningful interactions. In this journey of self-awareness and change, understanding that every emotion serves a purpose is key. Chronic loneliness isn't just an emotional state. It has tangible neurological consequences. Dr. John Cacioppo's work at the University of Chicago provides a compelling lens through which to view this phenomenon. Dr. Cacioppo explored the nexus between perceived social isolation and the brain's structural anatomy. What they found was intriguing. Loneliness can influence the volume of the brain's white matter, which plays a crucial role in how different regions of the brain communicate. Consider thinking of the brain's white matter as the highways that connect different towns, or in this case, brain regions. When these highways deteriorate or become less efficient, information between towns can be delayed or disrupted. In essence, loneliness can affect the efficiency of our brain's internal communication system, potentially affecting our alertness and responsiveness. This research underscores that loneliness is not a mere sentiment. It physically reshapes the intricate pathways of our brain, reinforcing the argument that social connections aren't just good for our emotional well-being, they are integral to our brain's health and function. In the light of this, it's crucial to recognize and address feelings of loneliness, not just for emotional balance, but for the holistic well-being of the brain. So, as an experiment, let's challenge this status quo. Reach out, reconnect with an old friend, invite someone over for a chat, or simply participate in a community event. Not with any expectations, but just to exercise the muscles of connection. Remember, our artificial world will never be a substitute for our innate need to bond with one another. If, however, you find yourself struggling to break free from the chains of chronic loneliness, please seek professional help. It's not a sign of frailty, but of bravery. Whether viewed as a personal challenge or a wider societal issue, loneliness deserves our attention. In this magnificent world that humanity has constructed with its towering skyscrapers and digital wonders, let's not forget that our most fundamental need isn't technology or luxury, but each other. After all, most animals find sustenance in their environment. We find ours in each other. Let's build our world with that knowledge at its core. If this narrative resonated with you, do support us. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe. Thank you for staying with us to the end. See you in the next video on Plaid Chronicles.